I never thought I'd pull a gun at my own wedding. But when Evelyn, my soon-to-be mother-in-law, snatched the mic from the band and demanded I hand over my entire $8,500 monthly salary right there in front of God, country, and 200 stunned guests, something primal snapped inside me. Josephine, if you're joining this family, that paycheck's ours. Consider it your dowry to the empire I've built, she hissed, her voice slicing through the string quartet like a chainsaw through wedding cake. And just like that, with the ring still warm on my finger from Tom's vows, I grabbed the loaded Beretta from under the head table, the one I'd stashed for just in case after her last threat, and leveled it at her manicured feet, whispering loud enough for the front row to hear, "Touch a dime of mine, Evelyn, and I'll bury you deeper than the secrets you've got rotting in your closet." The ballroom at the Plaza in New York City had been a dream straight out of a Pinterest board, crystal chandeliers dripping like frozen waterfalls, tables groaning under towers of macarons and lobster bisque, the kind of opulence that screams old money even when it's all smoke and mirrors. Tom and I had scraped together every cent for this. Him from his junior associate gig at the firm, me from grinding 12-hour shifts as a nurse at Mount Sinai. We'd met in the ER 3 years back. He was the hotshot lawyer stitching up his ego after a bar fight. I was the no-nonsense RN who told him to stop whining and hold still. Love at first suture. Or so the story went. But Evelyn? She was the venom in the vein. The woman who'd clawed her way from Jersey trailer trash to Manhattan penthouse queen by marrying Tom's dad. A Wall Street wolf who ate scandals for breakfast. Now widowed and loaded, she treated Tom like her golden retriever and me like the stray she'd never meant to adopt. That demand? It wasn't random. It was the opening shot in a war she'd been plotting since the engagement party, when she cornered me in the powder room and whispered, "Marry my boy."
Yeah.
But remember, in this family, loyalty costs. I'd laughed it off then, chalking it up to too much Veuve Clicquot. But as the months dragged on, the barb sharpened, subtle at first, like accidentally spilling red wine on my thrift store bridesmaid dresses, then bolder, like rerouting our honeymoon funds to her charity gala for underprivileged socialites.
Tom,
bless his oblivious heart, just shrugged it off as mom being mom. He didn't see the ledgers she slipped under his door, the ones tallying my debts to the family name. $8,500 a month, that was my take-home after taxes, every penny earmarked for our starter apartment in Brooklyn, student loans from nursing school, and the IVF we'd pinned our dreams on after a year of trying and failing. The gun? Yeah, that was my insurance policy. Not that I'd ever fired it at a person, God. No, but I'd grown up in the Rust Belt hollows of Pittsburgh, where Daddy taught me to handle a .22 before I could drive. Protection? Josie girl, he'd say, his calloused hands steadying mine on the range. Worlds full of wolves in sheep's clothing. Little did I know Evelyn was the alpha bitch of the pack. I'd tucked the Beretta in its holster under the tablecloth that morning. A what if after her latest email. Darling, sign over your direct deposit or the wedding's off. Tom's future depends on it. Tom's future. As if I was the anchor dragging him down, not the woman who'd pulled him through his coke-fueled law school haze. The room exploded into a frozen tableau the second I raised the barrel. Forks clattered like dominoes. Aunt Mildred from Tom's side gasped so hard her pearls popped. My cousin Lena, the one who'd flown in from Chicago with her rainbow flag pin, let out a whoop that echoed off the gold leaf walls. You go,
Joe.
Show that hag who's boss. But half the guests, mostly Evelyn's Botox brigade from the Junior League, were already scooting chairs back, eyes darting to the exits like spooked deer.
Tom.
My Tom stood there in his tux, face draining to the color of uncooked risotto, mouthing,
Joe.
"What the hell? Evelyn."
Though?
She didn't flinch. Her lips curled into that shark smile, the one that said she'd seen worse in boardrooms and back alleys.
Oh.
"Honey," she cooed, loud enough for the videographer to catch every syllable. "Is that how you thank me for footing the circus? Put the toy away before you embarrass us all. Embarrass us all." Like I was the punchline. The betrayal hit harder than the recoil ever could have. It wasn't just the money. It was the lie she'd fed Tom since he was in diapers, that she was the saint who'd raised him alone after his dad OD'd in '09. When really, she'd covered it up, pinning the blame on the maid to keep the family fortune intact. I'd found out 6 months ago, digging through her unlocked desk during a girls' weekend at the Hamptons' house. Old emails, yellowed news clippings, heiress's husband dies in tragic fall, maid questioned. The maid, Rosa, who'd vanished with a hush-money payout and a one-way ticket to El Salvador. Evelyn had framed her for pushing him, all to dodge the scandal of his relapse. And me, I'd kept quiet, swallowed it like bitter pills.
Because Tom begged me to.
Mom's fragile.
Joe.
Let it go. Fragile.
Right.
But that night, with the weight of the Beretta in my palm and the scent of tuberose bouquets turning sour in my nostrils, I couldn't swallow anymore. Fragile. I barked, voice cracking the silence like thunder over the Hudson. You mean fragile like the lies you told Tom about his father? Or fragile like the way you let Rosa rot in jail for your mess? The room sucked in a collective breath. Evelyn's face flickered, just a microsecond, but I saw it, the crack in the porcelain. Tom's eyes widened, darting between us like he was watching a car crash in slow-mo.
Joe.
What are you? Save it.
Tom.
I swung the gun toward the ceiling, firing a single warning shot that punched a neat hole in the frescoed dome. Plaster dust rained down like confetti from hell, and that's when the stampede started. Half the crowd bolted, Evelyn's cronies first, clutching clutches and calling for security on diamond-encrusted phones. The other half, my people, the nurses and factory kids who'd carpooled from Pittsburgh, they stayed planted, cheering like it was the Super Bowl and I'd just spiked the ball in the end zone. Evelyn lunged then, not for the gun, but for the mic on the floor. Security. This woman's unhinged, but I was faster, kicking it across the parquet like a hockey puck. Unhinged? You blackmailed your own son's bride over a paycheck you don't even need. What's next? Ev? Selling my eggs for your next facelift. The words tumbled out, laced with 3 years of pent-up venom. Tom grabbed my arm, his grip slick with sweat. Babe, put it down. Please. His voice was that soft lawyer plead, the one that won cases and broke hearts. But I shook him off, the ring on my finger catching the light like a handcuff. That's when the real hook sank in. Not the gun, not the shot, but the secret I'd buried deeper than Evelyn's sins.
See?
I hadn't just found those files. I'd taken something else, a USB drive, tucked in her lingerie drawer, full of ledgers showing how she'd funneled Tom's inheritance into offshore accounts to dodge the IRS. And worse, the accident that killed my little brother Mikey 5 years back? The one I'd confessed to Tom about. The drunk driving wreck where I'd swerved to miss a deer and plowed into a guardrail? Evelyn had been in the passenger seat that night. Not as a passenger, but as the puppeteer. She'd plied me with wine at a welcome to the family dinner, then insisted on driving home from the city, only to hand me the keys mid-argument, knowing I was buzzed. Prove you're tough enough for us. Joe, she'd slurred. The crash? My fault on paper. My record scarred. My nursing license nearly revoked. But her?
Spotless.
Because she'd walked away with a sprained ankle and a story about poor Joe's bad habits. I'd borne that crime for her. Lied to the cops. To my family. To myself. All because she whispered in my ear at the hospital. Tell them you were driving, or Tom's trust fund vanishes. Poof. And Tom? He didn't know. No one did. Until now. The chaos swirled like a bad acid trip. Security goons in ill-fitting suits barreling through the service doors while the remaining guests formed a human barricade, my barricade.
Anyway.
Lena was on her feet. Phone out. Live streaming the whole meltdown to her 3,000 followers, bride versus monster-in-law trending before the cake was cut. This is America. Folks, she narrated, voice thick with that Midwestern twang, where family ties snap like cheap pantyhose. Evelyn backed toward the head table, her crimson gown pooling like blood on the floor. But her eyes? They were daggers, plotting my autopsy in real time. Josephine. You hysterical little, she started, but Tom cut her off, stepping between us like some white knight wannabe. Mom. Back off.
Joe.
Give me the gun. His face was a war zone, confusion, betrayal. That flicker of doubt I'd seen in courtrooms when he cross-examined liars. I wanted to hand it over, to melt into his arms and pretend this was all a rehearsal gone wrong. But the USB burned in my garter like a live coal, and the weight of Mikey's ghost pressed on my chest. You don't get it, Tom, I said, voice steady now. The nurse and me kicking in, triaging the damage. She's been playing us both. From day one. He blinked. Tux rumpled. Bow tie askew. What do you mean? Evelyn seized the moment, feigning a swoon against a floral arch, Oscar-worthy. If I'm honest. She's lying. Tommy, that bump on her head from the crash must have addled her brain.
Crash.
The word hung there. A guillotine blade. The loyal half of the room leaned in, the stragglers who'd paused at the doors craned necks like vultures. I lowered the Beretta. Not because I trusted her, but because popping off another round would bring NYPD with helicopters and headlines. Heirloom wedding turns Wild West. Fine, I said, holstering it under my skirt with a flourish that drew whistles from the back. No more bullets. But words? Those are free. I snatched the abandoned mic from the floor, static crackling like my nerves. Ladies and gentlemen, family and friends, sorry to derail the toasts, but Evelyn here wants to talk finances. So let's. Tom's hand hovered near mine, but he didn't touch. Good boy. Learning. I launched into it then. The floodgates busted wide. The ledgers first, how she'd siphoned $200,000 from his college fund into Cayman shells, labeling it business expenses for her boutique empire of overpriced handbags. Tom thought his dad left him nothing but debts, I said, voice echoing off the vaulted ceilings. But Evelyn? She hoarded it all. Then played the grieving widow card to guilt you into law school. Gasps rippled like aftershocks. Tom's jaw unhinged. Evelyn's facade splintered, her hand fluttering to her throat like she was choking on caviar. Then the big one, Rosa. I pulled up the news clip on my phone, projected it via the DJ's laptop onto the massive screen meant for our first dance montage. Grainy footage of a tear-streaked Latino woman in cuffs. Evelyn dabbing tears at a presser. My heart breaks for this tragedy. She didn't push him, I narrated. The room so quiet you could hear the ice melting in abandoned highballs. He was high as a kite.
Ev.
You knew it. Covered it. Framed the help to keep your Hampton summers uninterrupted. Whispers erupted into murmurs. Then shouts. Bitch from my side, slander from hers. But I wasn't done. The real gut punch, the one that made Tom's knees buckle, was Mikey. I hadn't planned to spill it here. Not like this. But with the gun's echo still ringing. It felt like fate's cruel cue. 5 years ago, I started. Throat tight. I lost my brother in a wreck on I-80. Drunk driving,
They said.
my fault. The screen flipped to my old mugshot, courtesy of a quick Google I'd prepped for insurance. Hollow-eyed Joe in an orange jumpsuit. The nightmare that cost me my first nursing job. But it wasn't just me. Evelyn was there. Poured the wine. Dared me to drive. Walked away whistling while I buried Mikey and my dreams. Tom staggered back. Face crumpling like wet Kleenex. Mom, it was a plea. A prayer. A prosecution. Evelyn straightened. All 5'0" of her swelling like a storm cloud.
Lies.
She was wasted.
Tommy.
I tried to stop her, but I cut her off, waving the phone like a talisman. I've got the dashcam footage.
Ev.
From the rental car. Your voice. Clear as a bell. Floor it.
Joe.
Show me you're one of us. I'd copied it months ago. The USB's crown jewel. But hadn't watched it since. Hearing it now. Looped on the screen, her laugh. Metallic and mean, it was like exhuming Mikey's coffin all over again. The divide deepened. My crew surged forward. Hugs and backslaps raining down. Evelyn's posse slunk out fully now. One matronly type hissing, "Call the lawyers," as she fled. Security arrived. Beefy guys with earpieces. But Tom waved them off. Eyes locked on his mother, like she'd morphed into Medusa. Is it true? He demanded. Voice raw. She hesitated, that fatal flip. The schemer weighing her options. Lie and lose him forever? Confess and crumble the empire? Tommy? Baby, she crooned, stepping close. She's poisoning you. Think of the family. Fuck the family, he roared. The curse exploding from his Ivy League mouth like a grenade. The room cheered. A ragged wave of solidarity. But me? I felt hollow. The high of the reveal crashing into regret. Had I just nuked his world to save mine? The DJ, bless him, cranked up respect by Aretha, unscripted genius, and the dance floor cleared for what felt like Judgment Day. We retreated to the bridal suite upstairs.
Tom and I.
The door slamming on the pandemonium below. He paced the Persian rug, yanking at his collar. Why didn't you tell me?
Yo.
About any of it. I sank onto the chaise. Gown pooling around me like surrender. Because I loved you. And she made me promise, threatened to cut you off. Say I was unstable, unfit. The word hung heavy, unfit. Like I was the stray dog she'd pegged me for. He stopped, kneeling before me, hands on my knees. You're not.
You're.
Everything. Then he kissed me, fierce and forgiving. The salt of tears mixing with Chanel no. 5. But Evelyn wasn't done scheming. Oh no. As sirens wailed faintly from the street, NYPD. No doubt. Courtesy of her 911, she texted Tom from the lobby. Come down. Son. Let's talk. She's not worth it. He deleted it, but the seed was planted. That night, as we consummated our fractured vows in a tangle of silk sheets, I whispered the plan I'd been hatching since the USB. Revenge. Slow burn and surgical. We'll expose her.
Tom.
All of it. But smart. No more guns. He nodded, but his eyes held shadows, doubt. Maybe. Or the first flip of his own. The next morning, headlines blared. Millionaire mom's wedding meltdown. Gun-toting bride spills secrets. Social media was a bonfire. Justice for Rosa trending. Petitions for her pardon circulating. Evelyn lawyered up fast. Her PR machine spinning me as the gold-digging instigator. But we had the footage, the files, and Tom's reluctant fire. Step 1. Anonymous tip to the DA on the offshore accounts. Step 2. Rosa's contact. Traced via a PI buddy from my ER days. We're bringing her home, I told Tom over room service Eggs Benedict. He squeezed my hand, but his smile was tight. What if she flips it on you? The crash.
She did.
Faster than a Wall Street crash. 2 weeks post-wedding. And New York was a pressure cooker ready to blow. Tom and I holed up in our Brooklyn walk-up, the one with the leaky faucet and the view of a brick wall that suddenly felt like a fortress. The Plaza fiasco had gone viral, talk shows clamoring for my tell-all, tabloids dubbing me the bride with the Beretta. My nursing shifts? Suspended pending investigation, courtesy of Evelyn's whisper campaign to the hospital board. Tom's firm? They kept him on. But the partners eyed him like a ticking bomb. Family drama's bad for billables. Reynolds, the senior hissed in a memo that leaked faster than chlamydia in a frat house. Evelyn, true to form, flipped the script overnight. Her first move, a teary Oprah-style interview on some cable rag. The heart of the heiress. My daughter-in-law. She's troubled.
Folks.
That gun? A cry for help. And those accusations? Fabrications from a woman drowning in resentment. Cut to her hugging a pillow. Mascara rivers down her cheeks. I only wanted to help. Guide her into our world.
Guide.
Like she was some benevolent fairy godmother. Not the witch who'd hexed my life. The public ate it up. Her handbag sales spiked 20%. The hypocrisy thicker than Jersey traffic. Tom watched it with me. Jaw clenched so tight, I thought his teeth would shatter. She's good, he muttered, tossing the remote. Too good. We were in the thick of it now, lawyers dueling like gladiators. Me deposed in a stuffy conference room downtown, recounting the wedding shot under fluorescent glare.
Mom.
Brandishing a firearm at a family event, that's not just controversial. It's criminal, the DA's assistant grilled. A kid fresh out of Fordham with a man bun. I leaned in, channeling every ER psych consult I'd ever triaged. Self-defense. Counselor. She threatened my livelihood. And the secrets? Those are the real weapons. The real war. Though, brewed in the shadows. I'd wired Rosa $5,000 from our honeymoon slush fund, enough for a flight and a lawyer in San Salvador. She arrived at JFK, a ghost of the woman in the clips, mid-40s. Wiry frame swallowed by a donated coat, eyes haunted but fierce. We met in a dingy midtown diner. Formica tables sticky with syrup ghosts. Steam rising from greasy hashes. Senora Josephine, she said, accent thick as her calluses, gripping my hands across the booth. You risk everything. Why? I told her about the USB, the footage, Mikey's grave. Because Evelyn took from us both. Time to take back. Rosa's story filled the gaps I'd only glimpsed. Hired fresh off the boat in '08, she'd cleaned Evelyn's messes literal and figurative, puke from Tom's benders, blood from his dad's falls. The night of the OD, She'd found him foaming on the marble foyer, Evelyn hovering with a syringe half hidden. "Call 911. Say he slipped," Evelyn ordered. But the cops twisted it, Rose's prints on the banister, her shifty demeanor. "She pay me off. Send me away. But my babies. They grow without mama." Tears hit the coffee black. I hugged her, the diner blurring into a triage ward. Not anymore. We lawyered her up with a pro bono firebrand from the ACLU. A butch Latina named Carla who'd shredded bigger fish. First court date. Motion to reopen the case. Evelyn's team, silver-haired sharks from Skadden, pounced, painting Rosa as unreliable, me as the puppet master. "This is a shakedown, Your Honor," lead counsel sneered, flashing my wedding mugshot. But Carla countered with the dashcam audio, Evelyn's voice, slurring dares, tying it to a pattern of manipulation. The judge, a no-nonsense black woman from the Bronx, leaned forward. "Ms. Hargrove, your client's history of creative accounting precedes her." Bailiff, release Ms. Morales pending review. Outside the courthouse, paparazzi swarmed like locusts. Evelyn's car idled curbside, tinted windows rolling down just enough for her to mouth, "You'll regret this."
Yo.
Regret? It was fuel. That night, Tom and I celebrated with takeout, lo mein on the fire escape, city lights winking like conspirators. "We're winning," he said, nuzzling my neck. But his phone buzzed. Evelyn again. "Meet me. Alone. Or Rose's visa vanishes." The flip. He showed me, deleting it with trembling fingers. Ignore her. But doubt crept in, a vine choking the trust. The antagonist's true colors bled out in layers. Evelyn wasn't just scheming, she was a chameleon, flipping allegiances like hotcakes. Next salvo, she reached out to my parents via a glossy letter, all faux concern. "Dear Mr. and Mrs. Kowalski, Josephine's unraveling. Please help me help her. My folks, good Polish Catholics from the Steel City, called in a panic.
Josie.
This woman's offering therapy.
Paid.
Says you're unstable after the wedding. Unstable. The word clawed at old wounds, Mikey's funeral, where I dry heaved through the eulogy. Cops breathing down my neck. Mom. Dad, it's a trap. Trust me.
They did.
Barely. But the seed of division sprouted. Family first. Josie. Even in-laws. Meanwhile, the offshore probe heated up. IRS agents raided her penthouse, hauling file cabinets like trophies. Leaks hit the Post. Heiress hoards heirs loot. Tax evasion empire crumbles. Evelyn flipped again, this time to the press. Betrayed by my own blood. Egged on by that harpy bride. Harpy. Classy. Tom fielded the fallout at work. Partners pulling him aside. Cut ties. Reynolds. Or you're out. He came home shell-shocked, collapsing on the couch. They want me to denounce you. Publicly. My stomach dropped. And he pulled me close. Screw em.
But Joe.
What if she's right about the crash? Your blood alcohol. The room spun. We danced around it. But there it was, my culpability. I'd had 3 glasses. Sure. But Evelyn's bottle was the catalyst. I was buzzed.
Tom.
Not blackout. She orchestrated it. He nodded. But the flip lingered in his eyes, loyalty teetering. That's when I decided to accelerate, leak the full USB to a podcast buddy. Crime and Chardonnay. Episode dropped midnight, racking 1 million downloads by dawn. Evelyn's empire quaked, sponsors bailing. Invites revoked. She retaliated viciously, anonymous tips to child services, claiming I was unfit for motherhood based on the crash record. IVF dreams? Dashed on red tape. The tension coiled tighter. A noose of decisions. Do I push harder? Risk alienating Tom? Pull back. Let her slither free? Rosa became my anchor, crashing on our couch. Her story's a bomb. In my village, we say revenge is a river, flows slow, carves deep. But American revenge?
It was a wildfire, consuming everything.
Tom's next flip came subtle. Dinner with her. Just to talk terms. He returned reeking of her perfume, eyes glassy. She says she'll confess everything if you drop the gun charge.
Drop it?
After she'd weaponized my pain, I confronted him in the kitchen. Dawn light slanting through blinds like prison bars. Terms? She's buying you back. Tom. He flinched. It's complicated.
Joe.
She's still my mom.
Complicated.
The word that excuses every sin. That's when the controversial call hit. I slept on the couch that night. Rosa's snores my lullaby.
Plotting solo.
No more team. Revenge was mine. Buried secrets unearthed one grave at a time. The climax brewed in a deposition room 2 months in. Evelyn versus us. Under oath. She took the stand, composed as a senator, swearing she'd never manipulated a soul. Carla slid in the dashcam transcript, her voice damning. Evelyn's eyes flicked to Tom in the gallery, pleading, then stealing. Fabricated, she lied. But then the twist of her flip. Asked Josephine about the pills. Pills? The room froze. What pills? Carla pressed. Evelyn smiled. Serpent sweet. The ones she popped before the crash. Oxy. Straight from the hospital dispensary. I covered for her, said it was mine. But she stole them.
Tommy.
For Mikey. To help his pain.
Lies.
Mostly, but laced with truth. Mikey had been hooked after a football injury. I'd nicked a few scripts. Desperate. Evelyn knew. Used it to bind me tighter. Tom turned to me. Face ashen. The divide cracked wide. Had I borne her crimes? Or enabled them? The deposition devolved into a circus. Lawyers shouting objections like popcorn kernels. The stenographer's keys clacking like machine gun fire. Evelyn's bomb landed heavy. The oxy theft. Twisted into my villain origin story. She was spiraling. Your Honor, she testified. Voice quivering just right. I protected the family again. Protected. As if hoarding Tom's future and framing Rosa were acts of maternal mercy. Carla hammered back. Producing pharmacy logs, clean for me. But a trail leading to Evelyn's personal prescriptions doled out like candy to her social circle. Sounds like a dealer in Louboutins, Carla quipped, earning a gavel bang. But the damage? Nuclear. Tom stormed out mid-session, vanishing into the courthouse halls. I chased him to the marble stairs. Gown swapped for jeans and a hoodie that smelled like stale coffee.
Tom.
Wait. He whirled, eyes red-rimmed. Did you steal them? For Mikey. The question gutted me. Truth time. Raw and ragged.
Yes.
A handful. Over months. He was dying inside. Football wrecked his knee. Pain wrecked his head. I thought. One script. It had tied him over. Tom's face twisted. Pity. Rage. That lawyer's dissection. And the crash? Were you high?
No. Lie?
Half-truth. The wine buzzed. Pills a ghost in my system from days prior. Evelyn pushed me behind the wheel. Knew I was tipsy. Knew the roads. He sank onto a step. Head in hands.
God. Yo.
We're both monsters' puppets. The admission hung. A bridge or a break. I sat beside him, our knees touching like tentative allies. Then cut the strings.
Together.
He looked up, the flip flickering, loyalty to blood versus the woman who'd bared her soul. What if exposing her destroys us too? It nearly did. That night, Evelyn escalated, her moxie unbowed. A courier delivered a manila envelope to our door, photos of me in scrubs. Pilfering from the Pixis machine, photoshopped masterpieces. Timestamps fudged. Enclosed note. Her looping script. Drop the case. Or Nurse Ratched loses her license forever. Rosa found me sobbing on the fire escape. Cig between fingers. Bad habit resurrected. Mija. Rivers don't dry from one storm. She brewed, mate in our chipped mugs. Her stories spilling like steam, how Evelyn had recruited her for dirt-on rivals, paying extra for discreet tasks. She flips people like cards.
But you?
You're the ace she can't fold. Emboldened, we struck back. Carla filed for perjury. The oxy lie unraveling Evelyn's web. Media flipped. Eris's House of Lies cracks splashed across the Times. Sponsors ghosted. Her penthouse went into escrow. Whispers of liens. Tom recommitted. Filing for emancipation from her trusts, controversial as hell in their circles. Where blood money was sacrament. I'm done being her A-team, he told me over takeout Thai. The decision a razor cut. But Evelyn's counters? Savage. She leaked my crash report to the nursing board. Anonymous, of course. Painting me as a relapsed addict. Hearings loomed. Shifts turned to interrogations. The tension peaked in a Hamptons showdown, her last olive branch, a weekend invite post-depo. Tom pushed for it. End this clean.
Yo.
No more courts. I agreed. Wary. The Beretta swapped for a hidden recorder in my sundress. The estate loomed like a Gothic novel prop, manicured lawns sweeping to the Atlantic. Infinity pool shimmering under July haze. Evelyn greeted us on the veranda, chilled rose in hand, looking every inch the Hamptons has been, Botox sagging, eyes puffy from allergies. Darlings, she purred, air-kissing Tom's cheeks. Let's bury the hatchet. Literally. If needed. Dinner was a minefield, seared foie gras and veiled barbs. Josephine.
Dear.
Nursing's noble. But unstable hands? Tragic. Tom stiffened. I smiled. Recorder whirring silent. Speaking of unstable. Ev, how's Rosa settling? Heard she's suing for defamation. Her fork paused midair. That ingrate? She pushed him.
Joe.
End of. The flip, denial to deflection. Tom pressed. Mom. The footage. She cut him off. Voice syrup slick. Footage can be deep-faked.
Tommy.
Ask your wife about her little pharmacy hobby. The table detonated. Tom slammed his napkin down. Enough.
Confess.
Or I walk for good. Evelyn's mask slipped, raw fury flashing. Walk. You'd bankrupt us both. You ungrateful pup. I built this. Your dad was a junkie corpse. The admission burst like pus from a wound. I hit record louder. capturing her rant, the OD cover-up, the IRS dodges. Even a casual aside about nudging Mikey's dealer to up his supply, knowing it'd drag me down. Collateral.
Yo.
You were expendable. Tom bolted, retching into the hydrangeas. I stayed, facing her across the wreckage of plates. Why me? She laughed, bitter as bile. Because you reminded me of her, Rosa, young and scrappy. Thought I could break you, mold you. Failed. The schemer unmasked, not evil incarnate, but a survivor scarred by her own climbs, flipping victims into mirrors of her shame. Pity flickered, unwanted. It's over.
Ev.
She lunged then, not violent, but desperate, snatching my phone. Delete it, we grappled. Rose spilling crimson, the recorder skittering under a chair. Sirens wailed distant, neighbor alerted by the shouts. Cops hauled us apart. Evelyn spun innocence, me the aggressor. But the audio? Gold. Leaked next day. It sealed her fate. Indictments rolling in fraud, perjury, accessory to manslaughter. Rose's case reopened. My board hearing? Dismissed with apologies. Tom's firm? They promoted him. Scandal be damned. But the revenge high crashed hard. Tom withdrew. Nights on the couch. Haunted by her confessions. Was she right,
Joe?
about us enabling her? The divide echoed the weddings. Half the world hailed me hero. Half harpy. Protests outside her arraignment. Free Evelyn. Family over fraud. Versus justice for the framed. I stood with Rosa. Wind whipping our scarves. Her hand in mine. River carves, but leaves scars. My controversial call. Testify against her. Full throttle. No mercy plea. Tom begged otherwise. She's broken.
Joe.
Let her rot in regret. But Mikey's ghost demanded more. Courtroom climax. Evelyn on the stand. Flipping one last time, to remorse. I did it for him, she sobbed, nodding at Tom. Everything. The jury split. Deadlock on lesser charges. But manslaughter stuck. Sentenced to 15.
No parole.
As cuffs clicked, she locked eyes with me. You win, Josephine. But at what cost? Tom's cost. He filed for separation that week. I need space.
Yo.
To grieve her, the monster and the mom. Heart-shredding, but fair. We'd blurred lines, borne each other's sins. 6 months post-sentencing, and the dust settled into something like ash gray. Gritty. Impossible to shake. Evelyn rotted in Bedford Hills. Her empire auctioned off to pay restitution. Rosa got $2 mill. Enough for a brownstone in Queens and college for her kids. My nursing license? Reinstated with a slap-on-the-wrist seminar on boundaries. Tom's firm?
He quit.
Pivoted to pro bono. Championing immigrant rights in Rose's name. Us? We danced a ghost waltz. Awkward coffees. Stilted texts. The ring box gathering dust on my dresser. The twist hit like a sucker punch. Courtesy of a manila envelope postmarked from the prison library, no return address. Evelyn's telltale loops inside. Dearest Josephine, you think you won? Read this. Enclosed a notarized affidavit. Her confession on steroids. Not just the OD cover. The crash orchestration, but a bombshell. Tom's conception. Your husband's no Reynolds by blood, she wrote. A one-night lapse with the pool boy. 92. I passed him off as victors to secure the will. DNA's in the safe, destroy it. Or ruin him. The safe? Her old one. Combo our wedding date. Inside, a Q-tip swab. Lab report yellowed, but ironclad.
Paternity fraud.
Evelyn's final flip, not destruction, but a poisoned gift. Free me from her shadow, or chain Tom to illegitimacy. I stared at it for days. The River Rosa warned of flooding my veins. Tell him? Shatter the man I'd fought for? Or bury it? Become the monster she accused? The debate raged internal. Revenge complete. Or cycle eternal. Forums lit up when I anonymously posted the dilemma. Wedding Gun Girls Reddit AMA exploding. Expose. Truth heals. Versus let it lie. Some secrets protect. No clear right. Just the American grind. Justice messy as a bodega sandwich. I chose the controversial path. Partial truth. Met Tom at our old ER haunt, now a neutral ground diner off Flatbush. Over black coffee and halal cart falafel, I slid the report across. She left this. For us. His face cycled shock to stoicism. That lawyer mask cracking. Does it change anything? I shook my head. Only if we let it. He pocketed it. Eyes searching mine. Then we burn it. Together. We did. That night on the Brooklyn Bridge. Flames licking the night sky like defiant fireworks. No whoops. No tears, just quiet resolve. Evelyn's end? By karma or tragedy? Word filtered from her cell block. She flipped on bigger fish, Wall Street cronies in her fraud ring, for a sentence shave. Out in 10. Scheming reduced but unbroken.
Me?
I thrived. Ironically. Book deal for Beretta Bride, a memoir of betrayal. Nursing back full throttle. Even dipping into advocacy, Nurses Against Narcissists, a nonprofit with Rosa as co-founder.
Tom?
We circled reconciliation. Therapy sessions unpacking the flips, his enabling, my hoarding of hurts. We're flawed. Joe, he said one rainy afternoon in Prospect Park. Leaves crunching underfoot. But flawed together? The wedding? We rescheduled, small. Pittsburgh backyard. My folks grilling kielbasa. Lena officiating in a suit that screamed queer joy.
No guns.
No demands, just vows renewed. Raw and real. Half the guests from the plaza showed, the loyal half, toasting with PBR tall boys. But as cake cut into slices of redemption, a text pinged from an unknown. Proud of you.
Tommy. Mom.
He'd given her supervised visits. The ultimate flip. Forgiveness, laced with fences. Was it happy? Tragic? You tell me. I avenged my scars. Unearthed buried sins. But the cost, Tom's fractured faith. My mirrored monstrosity, left us all a little hollow. Evelyn? She schemed from stripes. But in her affidavit, a postscript, I envied your fire.
Joe.
Wish I'd aimed mine at the dark, not the light. Debatable absolution. As for me, Josephine Kowalski-Reynolds, hyphenated, on my terms, I holstered the Beretta for good, trading bullets for bridges. In America, revenge isn't a period, it's an ellipsis. What comes next? Hell if I know. But damn if it ain't one hell of a ride. Epilogue hook. Last week. Rosa called. Voice electric. Mija. The river? It brought a baby. IVF worked hers. Via donor. But with Tom's blessing as uncle. Life flips. Secret surface. But family? That's the real empire. Build it honest. Or watch it burn.